Welcome to Talking Straight. I'm Suresh Kochattil. The last 2 days, media has been abuzz in Hyderabad about income tax rates on Minister Mallareddy, his son, son-in-law, his establishments across the city and the outskirts of the city. A lot of things have been said that the BJP government is out to get the ministers in the KCR cabinet, it is out to harass them and whatnot and whatnot. Let us understand something basic about income tax rates. They are not rates, they are called surveys. There are two different things that happen. Income tax officers come to your doorstep on learning that there is a mismatch between your revenue and the tax filings. Since technology is available in plenty, there is a way for income tax officers to calculate how much tax you are supposed to pay, be it an individual or a corporate. In case of Mallareddy, with the institution that he has across the board, there is enough scope to believe that there was an evasion. In fact, if you remember right, there was previously a ban on some of his medical colleges and also on his institutions due to some other allegations. His staff also made allegations about certain money being paid before the 2019 elections and withdrawn from their bank accounts and of course given as cash back to the establishment. All these need to be established. But why does a person like a Mallareddy, who is a minister, go around and threatening income tax official? How come his son gets a chest pain only when the income tax officers are there? There is more than that meets the eye. Let us remember one thing. A politician has to be mature enough to face the income tax or the ED. If there is an evidence, the income tax officers will not take you to jail. They will simply ask you to pay up first, unless it's evasion of a huge proportions. If your books are clean, if you have nothing to hide, then there's nothing to get scared of. But if there's something that you have to hide, then you will start making all kind of allegations. The maturity of our politicians has been going down and down and down the drain. They react to everything and anything. Worse, they think they are demigods, that they can do no wrong. They urge their supporters to attack the income tax officers, just as we saw in today's video. Shocking that a minister who was sworn to preserve, protect and defend the Constitution of India has violated the very oath that he has taken by asking his supporters to beat up the income tax officers. How can he still be in the cabinet? That's a question we need to ask. We need to ask Mr. K. Chandrasekhar Rao as to how one of his ministers, after violating the oath of office, is still in the cabinet. Video evidence is there in plenty to show that he is urging violence. If there is an income tax raid, Mr. Mallareddy, face it. Face it the way it is supposed to do. Let your chartered accountant, let your finance manager, let your vice president finance, let everybody sit across the table and give the document that the income tax officers ask you for. After all, they can only investigate what you show them. Then they can detect whether there is an evasion or not. Remember, every politician has something to hide. I'm not saying every politician is corrupt. What I meant was, if you have a business to run, naturally there will be some hera-fairy that will be made somewhere. And that is where the problem starts. There are how many ministers in KCR cabinet? More than 5 dozen. But how many of them have got raided? That is a question we need to ask. Why is it only certain people are getting raided? That is because they have something to hide with the business. If you are an individual, there is very little likelihood that you will be raided for something, unless you have done something very, very major. But one needs to understand how this entire thing functioned. I was in a debate last evening on a Telugu news channel where 3 of the anchors, of which 2 were from different political parties, started arguing on the fact that these raids have upset the people of Telangana. So I told the 2 panelists, just leave the people of Telangana alone. They are busy with their own life. They know how to take care of it. Don't speak for the people of Telangana. You have no right to. Speak about yourself. Speak about your party. Speak about your ministers. Don't bring the people of Telangana into this saying people of Telangana are upset with the income tax rates. Why should they be upset? They have nothing to do with all this. They are just people. The people who are upset are the ministers. People who are upset are the guys who have hidden the money. And why would a minister throw a phone and hide it somewhere unless he has got something to hide? Those are questions to ask. As I said, the maturity. One has to look back and see how mature politicians were some time back. And there are still many mature politicians even in the country even now. But in Telangana, crass rules. And that is what we saw yesterday, not class. We need to ensure that the ministers have a decent behavior. They should know how to behave. And Mr. Mallareddy has not just now, even in the past, has used some very abusive language against people. There needs to be a quality control, Mr. KCR. You need to ensure that your son, KTR, at least takes these ministers to task and tell them how to behave in public. Because the more you do, the more the television coverage that goes to the people, the damage is to your own party. And that is more dangerous than you can think of. Don't let the kind of people that are screaming at the income tax officers rule the roost. If there's something, face it, and face it with dignity. And that is the most important thing. There has to be some discipline in life. Just because you're a businessman and minister does not mean that you can throw your weight around. That is something Mr. Mallareddy has to remember. Money can take you only to a point, not beyond it. The richest people have been brought down in this country to the ground, not just in this country, across the world. And that will happen to anybody who thinks that he can buy everybody else. It doesn't work that way. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind.
Please subscribe to Nationalist Hub English channel for more interesting videos, and don't forget to like and share this video. Nationalist Hub, it's a news revolution.